just done it.
Yep.
Did you kind of hear that?
Oh, are we live?
So we're somewhere right around live. Yes. So it says live in the corner, but there's like a delay. But now
Okay.
all the words we say right now going forward will definitely be on the live. But I'm going to say. All right. Go there. Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another hashtag LockBoss giveaway. I'm real excited about this evening. Once again, we're going to have some fun. And we have Mr. John Trumpy from Aloha joining us.
Hello,
John,
everyone.
Thanks for coming live.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time. So, hey, any of you who have any questions for John or about Aloha, go ahead and go ahead and post them there, and we'll ask John. He'll be able to see the comments as well, and we'll kind of have some fun. He says, you see, Locks NY says, tell John Jay said he's a funny-looking guy.
Yeah, well, I've seen Jay in some compromising positions too, so.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. Hey, Ken, Mr. Ken Nixon. So I saw a comment up here. Where's it at? It says, however, last YouTube video for CLK Supplies did block my comments. Ken, I have no idea why YouTube is blocking your comments. And I mean, if there was a way I could ask them not to, I would, because I mean, I love all the jokes, you making fun of me on every video. I mean, why would I not want that? So I don't know. Maybe I have no idea why that's happening. John, you have any idea why Mr. Ken Nixon would be getting blocked?
No clue. My experience with YouTube is I start out trying to learn something and end up on a cat video, and that's a successful.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff.
And of course, I had a cat walk across my lap in the session that's being released tomorrow. So,
yeah. Good stuff. Says Ken. Dave says half of my comments were blocked last week as well. That's crazy. I have no idea why. Which is a bummer. I mean, John, I don't know if you've ever seen any of Ken's comments, but he's typically making fun of my bloopers that Connor loves to make on me. He just really likes to join in on that. But let's see here. All right. So we got everybody coming in here. Good stuff. Hopefully I said hi to a bunch of you. Gumby, Bobby, how's it going? Ken, Sherelle, Keyman, 565. So listen to everyone. So thank you for all tuning in. Of course, here in just a little bit, we're going to be getting to our live giveaway. But we're live now, too, so I don't know why I said live. But we'll be getting to our giveaway soon. But we have John, who is joining us from Aloha. And I'm excited to ask him some questions live here. Make sure you put your questions in, and I can pop them up on the screen. And but, John, so coming up here soon, we have the Aloha convention. Right?
Yep. End of July.
End of July.
Last week in July.
And, before we get going into that, though, I'm really would like you to kind of just give us a brief history about how long have you been a locksmith for, and what do you specialize in?
Well, I am an institutional locksmith. So for my day job, I am the lead locksmith at the University of Pennsylvania. So I manage all the locks in 240 buildings.
That's a lot. I mean, like 240 buildings, like on the average day, or is your team rekeying locks every day? I mean, is that probably a given?
Well, I actually do a lot of the project management, plan reviews, stuff like that. I have a staff who actually does a lot of the repairs and a lot of the rekeying. I do cut most of the keys. So
okay, you cut most of the keys, and let's talk now. And you mainly do SFIC. right?
99% of our systems are all SFIC.
And I'm really curious. I'm really curious, Frank, from your perspective. I mean, you've pinned up tens of thousands of cores.
More than likely, I've been there 28 years. So
28 years. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, you don't have to do very much math to actually get to that. That's a lot of numbers there. Yes, Ken, best SFIC type cores. Yes. Now, from your perspective, as someone like when you're training them to work on the SFIC cores, how long would you say after someone gets trained, on average, right? How long should it take to pin up a core from your perspective?
I require of my guys 4 cores an hour.
4 cores an hour.
That's minimum. That's what you must produce to not have me grumpy.
Okay. So that's if I did some quick math, what is that? 15 minutes a core? Something
15
like that?
minutes a core. Yep.
15 minutes a core. Yep. Okay. Good stuff. So so you have a lot of experience, obviously, in the industry doing all of that. And let's talk for a minute about your position at Aloha. So you are the president. I mean, you recently told me this. Let me see if I can actually say it. You are the president of the Aloha's institutional locksmithing
division.
Yep.
Yes. Aloha is made up of essentially 4 divisions. There's Aloha, the main Aloha, which is represented by regional directors, or 6 of them, 2 international directors, an associate member representative, a president, and a secretary. Then you also have the divisions. My sister divisions are SAFTA, which is the Safe and Vault Technicians Association. Their president also sits on the board. IAIL, which is the International Association of Investigative Locksmiths, is another sister organization. They specialize in locksmiths that do forensic work, how a lock was involved in a crime, how it was bypassed, if it was bypassed. And then my division is made up of institutional locksmiths who have to be an employee of a company or government agency that's main goal was not locksmithing. So we're in hospitals, universities, prisons, government agencies.
Okay.
And then each of the presidents of the divisions sit on the Aloha board as a whole.
Okay. Which is, you have a seat on the Aloha board.
I have a voting seat on the board, yes.
Awesome. Good stuff. So I just saw.
And it's not locked. The other thing is, it's not locked to the person. The division has a vote. So if I can't attend a meeting, I can send a representative and the division has a vote.
Okay. So someone has to just be there to vote for you, essentially.
Each position can send a representative.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like so. Joseph Leonard on here says, John, I work at UPenn Med.
Oh, okay. You in Hup or you in Presby?
We'll have to find out. John, before I started talking to you, I didn't really ever realize how the Aloha organization is structured. It's quite diverse, with the different, which I mean, partially makes sense because, you want people focused on certain areas of the business.
If the main Aloha division is kind of catered to the commercial locksmith that's out there, the general practitioner, and then if you want to focus on safes, the main Aloha division may not be able to serve all your needs. You may only want to talk about bank level vaults, the Diebold employees. They don't care about desk keys. They don't care about automotive. So we have a separate division. SAFTA even has its own convention where the whole conversation is just about safes.
Yeah. Just about safes. That's a fascinating one. I mean, I've opened a few safes in my time, but back then when I was working for my dad with it, he'd never bought any of the good jigs that would make it easy, and so thank goodness he has those jigs now.
You have to have the right tool to get the job done as quickly as possible and move on to the next one, or as I said before, get back to my coffee.
Yep, get back to your coffee, absolutely. So, John, coming up is the Aloha Convention in Orlando, Florida, at the end of July.
Orlando this year, yes.
Yep, and for all of you listening, hey, how many of you will plan on going this year? I'd love to know in the comments section. It'd be really fun to know out of the ones currently live watching. But so, John, now last year it got canceled due to COVID.
Yep.
And with everything going into it this year, when was it? Like end of May is when you guys made the decision to when was that decision made to proceed with it?
Well, since we actually book our conventions as far as 3 years out, it's not something that we canceled Kansas City. And actually, we didn't cancel Kansas City because of their restrictions. Because we literally couldn't put students in a classroom. We couldn't have people on a show floor. So it wasn't canceled. It just was impossible to have.
Yeah.
Yep. So at that point, we had Orlando already booked. We have Las Vegas already booked for next year.
I know. Hey, everybody, did you hear that? I'm going to tell you what, John. Having Aloha in Vegas is absolutely amazing. Not only because it's a 2-hour flight for me, but and direct flight, but it's just a great. I mean, it seems like a lot of people come. It seems there's a lot of I love the Vegas shows like the Circus Olays, and to be able to go down there and hit one of those up. I mean, well, when was it? 2 years ago when we went, I took my staff, we went and watched one of the Circus Olay together. It was a great time. So I'm curious with that. So how does Aloha pick where the actual events or conventions are going to take place?
Okay. That is
I've always wanted to know this. I don't actually know the answer.
That is one of the most complicated things that we do. So we get a lot of recommendations, a lot from members, tons more from manufacturers and distributors of cities they'd like to go to. Well, there's a problem with Aloha. We're space hogs. We need a convention center for the show, and then we fill every classroom that is available to us. If they give us 20 classrooms, we will run 20 classes simultaneously. When we book in, they can't book weddings. They can't book smaller conventions. We also have a hard time, some of the large cities, such as we could not go into the Javits Center because we can't fill that space, and the Javits Center doesn't divide. So you either rent the whole thing. We also, people complain because Aloha goes to the hottest places at the hottest time of the year. Yes, we are going to Orlando, Florida in July. We go to Vegas in the summertime. So we have to have summer conventions. Summer conventions, because a lot of our people also use this as a vacation. They want to take their kids somewhere. Yep. Or they just want to spend a few extra days and go to Disney or go to Circus Olay, or they want to see a Blue Man Group while they're out there. Or, don't tell Uncle Sam, but it's a tax-free trip. It's a business expense for many of our members.
Sure.
So a lot of times we get asked, why don't we go up to Boston or something like that? Well, a summer convention in Boston, you can't get into the convention hotels because they're having their boat shows and their auto shows because nobody wants to go to Boston, not to pick on Boston, in February. So they have all their major events all book into those summer months when Boston has nice weather. So we end up going to the hottest places, and it also gets our members the best rate.
Okay.
Las Vegas in July and August is cheaper.
Interesting. So, so is that like a committee that kind of decides?
So we have a company, Haynes Bristow, that does conventions for Fortune 500 companies, other associations. We tell them our needs. How many classrooms do we need? How many square feet of exhibit space do we need? And they send out a proposal, and we were always on a 3 cycle. So East Coast, Central, West Coast. And we're constantly evaluating that. Should we do 2 shows? Should we do East and West? Should we do East, West, then East, West, Central? It's constantly being evaluated. So they send out proposals, and then the hotels send back sometimes they don't send back anything. And then we start looking at it. What's the price? Over the years, we have collected massive amounts of comments from members and from exhibitors. We used to go to Chicago quite often, but our exhibitors were having a hard time paying the union fees, the union costs, in order to set up a booth.
Yeah.
When it costs a union electrician to plug something in, there's a valid complaint there. So we have to take all of that into consideration.
Yeah, my first one years ago when I got a bill towards the end, it was like, I don't know, $300 for them to pick my pallet up from the booth.
Yep.
I was like, whoa, but yeah, you after a while you really start to learn the ins and outs of how trade shows work.
And we look at every aspect. Is the exhibit floor carpeted? If it's carpeted, we don't have to have you pay Shepard, who's our decorator.
Yes.
To put down carpet. That saves you money. What is the room rate? How can we negotiate that? Now, we had a lot of criticism when we picked Kansas City for the one that happened during the year of the zombie apocalypse without zombies.
Yeah.
We had a lot of criticism for that. What people don't know is we actually were supposed to be in Milwaukee that year. We had a SAFTA convention in Milwaukee. Okay. Milwaukee is you can land in Chicago, so it's not a tier 2 city. There are a lot of direct flights. It was extremely reasonable. We were in the process of negotiating it. And then we found out the exact same time that we were supposed to be there, the Democratic National Convention was going to be in the city the exact same week. We were in a smaller venue. And it was simply decided we didn't want to have our members, it's not a political discussion, but that's the entire thing. There's going to be traffic jams. There's going to be roads blocked off. And so we then gave up that and then went back to our list. By that point, it was a much smaller available spots. And that's how we ended up in Kansas City.
Interesting. That's great. I often wondered that last year with all that going on. I was like, where do they get Kansas City out of all this? And you just answered that question. Now, what I'm curious about is can you tell, and I don't know how much you can share, and so just share whatever you can.
There's no silence on an Aloha board member. I mean, we don't speak for the board, but
yes,
there's no question off the limit.
So I'm curious, so with the 3 different locations, East Coast, West Coast, and then Central.
Yes.
Do you see attendance? Is there one region that has
that's other data we bring in. We look at the attendance. Aloha's largest membership is in the Northeast, which is why we get requests to have one in New York, Philadelphia, my home city, Boston. It's where our largest membership is. But we do run into the summer problem that you just can't afford it. I mean, if a low of members want to increase what it costs for a convention, we are trying to keep the cost as low as possible. We do a lot of negotiating to get a sweet hotel like this one for just over $100 in a resort city. So there's a lot of negotiating. I guess we don't communicate that enough. We probably should. People don't ask me, but.
Yeah, that's great. So, I've always heard the rumors of like Vegas being the biggest attended
Aloha
show.
is the best attended of all of our conventions. It's number one.
Vegas is?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I've always heard that, but I was like, man, how do you fact check something like that? Well, you have John, right? John fact
Well, we
checks
actually
that for us.
publish all of our statistics. They are publicly available to all members.
Oh, they are?
Yep. We publish it in the keynotes.
Okay. So Vegas is, so has there ever been the conversation about having it in Vegas every year? Like, has that ever been?
We have had that conversation, but then we actually have members that will not go to Las Vegas because they're extremely religious or some other conviction, or their spouse is never going to let them go to a city where, shows are naked. So that would be, if we picked Las Vegas every single time, that would be a disservice to our members. Even though it's a financial windfall for Aloha that year, it's very well attended. So there has been talk of having that, but it's just not something that we can, it's talked about, and then it's like, well, we're not going to exclude, Bobby. We like Bobby. He's a member. He pays dues. Been a member for 20 years. We're not going to exclude him. It's not fair to him.
Okay. And so that's what kind of brings that moving around.
Yep.
Now, back next year in Vegas, is that at the same venue, or do you guys try to mix up the venues?
Yes, we're at the South Point.
Okay, at the South Point again. Okay, awesome. I was wondering if you guys...
We fit in well. The South Point was nice with us. The South Point was able to hold a rodeo and us. And a
That is true. Yep,
the disadvantage of the South Point was complaints that we actually had to separate classes. All the classes could not be in one location. But we even take things like that into consideration. But the price is right for our members. A lot of our members, this is their vacation.
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely great.
In their budget frame,
Yep. So one thing I want to hit a little more on this, then I want to move on to some questions here. So with this week, right? So this is the last week that you can sign up for the convention in Orlando with the discounts for the hotel and all.
Right. We will take your cash or major appliance with receipt at the door. But we will take registration up to, I think, 2 weeks before, and then you can still come to the thing, but we've closed registration because we literally have to move the staff from Dallas to Orlando. A couple of our staff actually drive a truck to move all of our equipment from Dallas to Orlando. So there is an actual cutoff point, but it's the cutoff point that's the next important one is the discount one.
Yes.
And that's coming this Friday.
That's coming this Friday. So if people are thinking about going and they want to get that extra discount, being able to book your hotel now, and of course airfare, the further out you book it, typically we're kind of in that sweet spot, price wise right now.
30 to 60 days out. You're right at that point. That's why we pick that date, because it's the airfare discount too.
Yep, that's great. So
Orlando is also a cheap flight for most destinations. It is a reasonable flight.
Yeah, it was
Maybe
about,
not
I think for
California, you're across country, but
yeah, I think for us, we just booked, I think we paid $600 a ticket or so but we're also coming all the way out of Spokane, Washington. a little bit of a jaunt there, but very cool. Well, yeah. So everyone listening, if you're thinking about going, if you book this week before the end of Friday, you're going to be able to get that extra discount. And not only will you be able to see me down there at the show, the Lock Father is going to be there, as well as you can say hi to John. So how cool will that be? Maybe even take one of his classes. You'll have some classes going on down there, won't you?
Yeah, I'm teaching. I start teaching the Sunday before the trade show. So I teach the investigative 1 and 2, then the photography, and then we've added on a class this year for what is essentially active shooter.
Okay, very interesting. Well, listen, gentlemen, here I'm going to pull up a question or two, and then we'll get on to the giveaway. I can't believe we've already been on 25 minutes. Let's see here. So we have Shark City Locksmith asks, is there a LOA for residential? By the way, Mario, how's it going?
No, residential is very well covered in the regular LOA membership. So,
okay.
That's the same product, same type of pinning, same types of classes. It's you don't need, and a lot of our people, they may start out in residential. You might start out rekeying quick sets and easy sets. But at some point, you're going to want to make a little more money in the businesses. So we want to make sure you're prepared to take the next step into the commercial.
Okay. So the Aloha for residential, that's just covered with the basic Aloha.
That's just regular Aloha.
Okay. So the 4 divisions that we've talked about, those are so there's the Aloha membership, and then which would handle the residential type stuff. And then there's the 4 divisions that go kind of deep dive into safes that want to be covered, or in the institutional.
Right.
Okay. Yep.
Now we offer safe classes at Aloha. We offer safe classes at Aloha. We offer the same classes, but a lot less of them.
Okay.
So you're going to get you'll get your basic manipulation. You'll get your basic safe servicing, stuff like that. You don't have to go to SAFTA to take them.
Okay.
But if you want to go more heavily in and talk about nothing but safes, then you would join SAFTA and go to the SAFTA convention. And you don't have to be a member to go to the convention.
Yeah.
But if you're going to the convention, the price difference is about what a year's membership is.
Okay. Absolutely. It says, Ben says, looking forward to stopping by your booth, PJ. Hey, Ben, absolutely. Come swing by, say hi to me. Like I said, the Lock Father's we're flying him down with us. So he'll be in the booth, ready to chat. So let's see here. Let's see here. John, I don't know if you can see the comments, but Locks NY is in there busting your chops pretty good in a playful way. He keeps asking me to ask you different questions. So you guys must have some inside jokes going on there.
Ask away.
Let's see. Locksmith Live says, I made it. I had the same shirt on. Awesome, Chad. Very cool. Okay, let's find it here. Locksmith Live says they always choose a place with a good bar. That's interesting.
That is a must.
That's a must.
One of the reasons that I really liked Milwaukee is because it had the best ethnic restaurant in the nation, and it happens to be German food. And I love German food.
Lux NY says, PJ, ask him, hey, and by the way, Lux NY, hey, like how I can pull these comments up? This is a new feature, John, that's on this streaming thing that I just love, being able to pull comments up there. It says, PJ, ask him how his rubber ducks are.
More and more every day.
Oh, nice.
I collect rubber ducks.
Okay. That's cool. It says, he says Locks NY is actually Jay DeGraw.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. That's good.
His brother's famous, just so you know. Her cousin's famous.
Yes, he is. Let's see here. Locksmith thoughts right now. Oh, here we go. I don't know if the locksmith ever thought about. So let's talk about local chapters for a minute here, and then let's hop onto the giveaway because I know we're already 30 minutes in here. But Aloha, does Aloha have local chapters as well?
Okay, Aloha does have local chapters. Now, what's unique about Aloha as other organizations is the local chapters are actually independent organizations. So Aloha doesn't dictate anything to them. They don't share their dues. None of that. Aloha also has what they call the chapter affiliate or affiliate organization, which many of your organizations, Masters of New Jersey, GPLA, I can't think of the Chicago's name, Greater Chicago. All of them are affiliates of Aloha. So they're not Aloha chapters. Aloha chapters, they do get the advantage of they can do a PRP testing a little easier and stuff like that, but we'll do a PRP testing anywhere.
Okay. And as far as is there a place on Aloha's website that they can look for a local chapter?
Absolutely. And if they want to contact the office, and the Aloha office will provide them with all the information. My division actually has chapters. We have a chapter in DC.
Okay.
So if you are an institutional locksmith and want to have a chapter, we will help you start a chapter.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Well, John, hey, thank you so much for coming on here and chatting and getting asked all sorts of questions by Jay and all the other fun stuff. Let's get that off there. And so let's go ahead and let's move on to the Lock Boss giveaway. All right. Now we're going to have John. He's going to be announcing the winners here in just a moment. But before we do, I want to make sure I go over the ground rules and make sure we're all on the same page. So here's how it goes. Every week we post videos on YouTube. When you comment on a video and include the hashtag LockBoss, you're automatically entered in to win one of 5 prizes that we give away each and every week. Completely free, no purchase necessary. And man, I just lost my train of thought there. Oh, there we go. So now, when you do that, each contest is stand alone. All right, runs Monday through Sunday, and then the following Tuesday, we announce the winner live here on YouTube. Now, if your name is announced by John, you're going to want to email us at sales@clksupplies.com or call us at 800-848-6989 and make sure that we have your shipping address correct before we hook you up. And one of the winners tonight is going to be getting this 3000th universal kit. So good luck to you all. That's how it works. And John, are you ready for this? I'll get a drum roll going.
I'm ready. This first person's kind of scary. I think they're dying to get here. It's Ghost.
Yeah. Ghost. Winner number 1 is Ghost. Congratulations. Good stuff. Here we go. Winner number 2 is
Ed Keel.
Ed Keel. Congrats. Very cool. I think I saw him in here. That's cool. All right. Winner number 3 is
Michelle May. Or Michael May. Michelle May.
Michelle May. Congratulations. Very good. Here we go. Winner number 4 is
Kevin Clack.
Kevin Clack. Congratulations. Very cool. And we got winner number 5 is
one of them people that go by one name, Zach.
Zach. Oh, very
like Beyonce.
Very good. So let me go ahead here. I'm going to paste them all in to this week's winners here. Let's see. All right, there we go, guys. And hey, thanks. Got all those guys make. I lost my train of thought. My train of thought for 1 second there in the middle of it. They're all telling me I'm getting old, doing bloopers. It's one of my hobbies is bloopers. I'm good at them. It's natural. I'm natural. But that's good. So there we go, guys. So those are the 5 winners. Make sure you email us, sales@clksupplies.com. And John, is there a way you can kind of crumple them all up or do something? We'll pick one and we'll announce the winner of this metal cased pinning kit live.
I have no way to crumble my computer. I'm still reading it out of your email.
Oh, okay. Well, how about this? How about you close your eyes, move your mouse around, and pick one? Let's do that. Completely random. Here we go. We're going to do this one. It's about $160, $170 kit. Tabs on the side. It's the same one I got right back here in my studio. And it's a great.
It is Ghost.
Ghost. Congratulations. You are the winner.
Took me a second because I touched the touch screen and it went blank for a minute.
Oh, okay. No problem. So Ghost, you are the winner. Make sure you contact us. You're getting hooked up here with this metal 3000s universal color-coded pin kit. Good stuff. Well, hey, John, thank you so much for taking the time. I know it's, almost 9 o'clock on the East Coast over there. So thank you so much for hopping on here, having some fun. It's been great chatting with you.
Anytime.
And everybody, so tomorrow morning, I did a little podcast interview. It'll be on YouTube and on the Lock Boss Show on iTunes and Spotify, where John and I were talking about a whole variety of things. And listen, enjoy, and most of all, make sure you get registered for the convention this week to save on those discounts so you can come say hi to John, myself, and the Lockfather. It's going to be a lot of fun down there in Orlando. So, John, I don't know if I'll be talking to you until Orlando. If I don't,
I promised you information on your Key Blanks version 3, so we will be.
Oh, that's right. Key Blanks version 3. Here we go. It'd be good stuff. So, very cool, John. Well, hey, John, thank you. Everybody watching, thank you. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and we will see you next week. Same place, same time. We'll see ya.